Welcome everyone to the Traffic Speed Limit and Road Closures Hearings Panel 12th of March 2025. I was going to say 2021 then. My time machine would all be a few years younger. Yeah. Welcome to our online viewers. If we can open with the organisation Karakia, please. Kia inoi tātou. Tuia e runga, tuia e raro, tuia e roto, tuia e wahoa, tuia ngai kamahi o te kaunihera o Kirikiri Roa, whai a te iti kauharangi, kia u, kia mau, kia ita, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Kia ora, thank you everyone. Excuse me. Right, apologies. I don't have any apologies. It looks like we have a full committee. Councillor Hutt?
May I just make a small note?
Yes.
I don't have my regular glasses today.
Okay, so you're.
So if I'm wearing my extremely cool sunglasses, it's only because I'm very short-sighted.
Okay.
And I'm simply trying to read things on the board.
Right, okay. They look like sunglasses, so. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. There are no apologies. Confirmation of the agenda. There are no changes. I'll move that the agenda be received. Seconded by Councillor Wilson. All those in favour say aye. There are none opposed. Thank you. Any declarations of interest? There are none. We don't have public forum, do we? No. No, we don't. Confirmation of the minutes of the 17th of November committee meeting 2024. If I could have someone that was in attendance as I wasn't, move and second it. Thank you, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Van Ostend. Thank you. All those in favour? There are none opposed. That's carried. Thanks, everyone. Right, we're moving on to the substantive item on our agenda today, item 5, which is standard BAU for this committee, parking restrictions and traffic bylaw changes. And I welcome those members from the community that are here this morning to listen to the debate and the discussion. And committee members, there are some public submissions on our agenda on tab 8 as well for reference. So I'll invite Robin Denton. Is that how we do it? So why don't we do public forum if we hear public submissions now? Oh, sorry. Okay, so we should have done a public forum.
No, there's no public forum, but putting the submissions in there so they can you can either have Robin speak first or you have the public submitters first.
Okay, we'll have the public submitters first. My apologies for that. That was a little bit of a lumpy start. So we will start with our first submitter, Rangi Mahora Reddy, on behalf of the Ruawawa. No, that's not right. Sorry, yes. Ruawawa Kaumātua Charitable Trust. My glasses are not doing the job, and mine are old as well. Kia ora, good morning. Welcome. Thank you. And you have 5 minutes? Yes? Great. So we're in your hands.
I speak in there. Tēnā koutou ngā kaimahi o te kaunihera o Hamutana. Tēnei te mihi ki a koutou. Kia whakatakato e te āhuatanga o tēnei kaupapa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. I'd just like to thank you on behalf of our CEO, Rangi Mahora Reddy, our Assistant CEO, Donna Tilliard Davies, and our Keichiaki team here. So I'd just like to welcome us here to see what we have got laid down on the table. So, kia koutou katoa, tēnei te mihi nui kia koutou, ngā kaunihera o Hamutana, nō reira tēnā koutou tēnā koutou, kia ora hui mai tātou.
Tēnā koe matua. I ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā kārangatanga maha, a tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. E aku rangatira of our Hamilton City Council, ngā mihi, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And there are a few key points for us to address, noting the time that we have available. We're here because of a safety issue. And in case you don't know, Rau Awa Awa Kaumātua Charitable Trust was started in 1997, and we serve as a critical hub for our kaumātua, with over 800 attending our facilities throughout the year. And that we host things, we support kaumātua with housing, we support kaumātua with health and wellbeing, welfare, education, we do research projects, and we also are a hub for creating recreational events such as the Kaumātua Olympics, which sometimes our mayor will often attend, and our members, please feel free, our councillors, please feel free to come and participate in, for us, the event of the year. Kia ora. And that the parking issues on Colombo Street pose daily risk to our kaumātua, our staff, our manuhiri, our tradespeople that are currently trying to upgrade the facilities that were opened in 1941. So Rau Awa Awa is privileged to be hosted by a facility that was opened in 1941 by Princess Te Puia and the then Minister for Native Affairs. It was originally a residential facility, and if you can imagine, the land around it at the time was residential. And of course, 80 or so years later, it's now industrial. And so whilst the land around it has changed, the service to our people hasn't. And so Rau Awa Awa remains in that midst. However, one of the things that we do want to raise is the mobility challenges that many of the people that attend Rau Awa Awa have, and the need to ensure their safety. From cars parked on footpaths and near access ways, sometimes over our driveway, blocking visibility and access to safe entry and exit for those that come on site. Very dangerous for kaumātua, including those using mobility aids or transported in vans. So you see, we have safety concerns for our vulnerable populations. Many of our kaumātua live with disabilities, with mobility impairments or chronic conditions. And that safe and clear access is a health and safety necessity, absolutely not a luxury. And so we're here to appeal to the Council to please allow for these amendments to go through. We have witnessed many near misses. We have unfortunately had a colleague hit in that from the Waikato DHB as she was attending a hui by a truck exiting from our facilities, of which our staff rallied around her to support her. This is not a safe road, and that at times, and so kaumātua struggling to navigate footpaths blocked by cars is another challenge that we have. This is a preventable safety risk, and Council has the power to support the solution that keeps our kaumātua and our community safe. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora, thank you very much. We have run out of time, but are there any burning questions at this point? No. Thank you very much. Your request and your submission is very, very clear to the committee, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Ngā mihi.
Okay, I'll just say Ms. Is it a woman or a man? Oh my God. Okay, the next speaker up, and again I apologise, it looks like Natalie Grace. Is that correct? No, they don't appear to be in the room. All right, next speaker up is David Hall, and David is speaking to the Cambridge Road changes. Good morning, David. Welcome.
Yes, members of the panel, My name's David Hall. I'm speaking about the recommendation to install 2 no stopping areas on Cambridge Road at the front and the back of the space marked for the bus stop near number 43. And this is referred to on page 24 of your agenda as point 6 and 7. The corresponding aerial photograph is on page 77. I've lived in the area for 42 years. I've often walked past. I regularly drive past. Several years ago, I needed to travel by bus for 12 months following an injury. So I've seen all kinds of traffic conditions and parking adjacent to the bus stop. Yesterday, I measured the pertinent features so that I can be very specific and sure of what I say. Now, what is proposed is obviously intended to allow buses ample room to reach the marked parking space and drive out again. That will certainly work, but it will waste space needlessly, as the bus stop is not well positioned. Instead, it should be moved back so that it starts 1.5 metres past the entrance to number 43, where there's already a line painted to show the end of the space for other vehicles to park. It's a white line. Bear with me, I just lost my place for a minute. If that is done, an approaching bus will have a clear space of 4.5 metres to swing into place. That's comprised of the 3 metre width of the crossing for number 43, plus the 1.5 metres distance beyond that until that white line is reached. That's more than sufficient. A bus is capable of turning quite sharply. The length of its wheelbase is little more than half of its overall length. When it needs to pull out, a clear space of 3 metres in front would be more than enough. I believe if you ask the bus company, you'll find that a space of only 2 metres from a car parked in front is sufficient for a bus to pull out. I've seen this demonstrated in Anglesey Street, where buses there sometimes are parked quite close together. Now, unfortunately, my preparations hit a snag. The copy shop I'd relied on was unexpectedly shut. I had sketched out in scale the features of the current site and the proposed areas for no stopping zones that you have in front of you. And then I sketched out a comparison illustration of what I recommend instead. The main difference is that an extra parking space for a car is obtained by doing what I recommend. Under the current setup, there would be space for 1 car behind the bus, but only 3 to park in front of it. With what I propose, there'll be no spaces behind the bus, but there'll be at least 5 in front of it. And parking is very much needed in this area. The shops are busy. In fine weather, the Jack's Coffee Lounge on the corner is full inside and all the outside tables are full. The adjacent Prescott Place has traffic parked on both sides. There's a grog shop where people are stopping from time to time. Further out, there's the Hillcrest Stadium that's got a newly or a recently established play area for children. And on the other side of the road, there's Flynn Park, marked out as a sports area. The Hillcrest Stadium, as you know, has that oval for cycling, and inside the oval, the proportions of the goalpost suggest it's marked out for hockey rather than soccer. So there is a need for that, and what I've proposed will maximise the spaces available. I'm sorry I wasn't able to provide you well in advance with copies of what
It's
I had in
okay,
mind.
David, I've asked the team to pass that around and then they'll take copies for our files.
Oh, right.
So we can do that for you?
Yes, as soon as you're ready.
We will go to a couple of questions. Just firstly, David, are you a roading engineer or a planner?
Certainly not. No,
Oh,
no,
you're
no.
not? Okay. Oh, no, I just asked because you've gone to quite a bit of detail. And do you live on this road?
No, I live in Hillcrest Road,
You haven't, okay.
very close to the corner of Cambridge Road.
Right, okay.
And I've often travelled on the buses that
Right,
go
yeah,
exactly
no,
past
I
this
just wanted
place.
to clarify that. Councillor McIndoe.
Two questions, if I may. David, thank you for a very clear submission. The first is, from what you've just described of the retail activity, would you believe that most people who are parking cars there are doing so for short-term purposes, or are some parking there all day and walking to work?
I've no idea. I've only observed things either at the time I was passing or at the time I was stopped on the stop, because that particular bus stop is what's called a, what do they call it? A timing point, or a scheduled stop for the Hillcrest bus. And if it reaches there early, it's got to stop and not proceed until that time is reached.
Right, okay, thank you for that. The second, if I may, you mentioned that it's your understanding that buses would have ample room for manoeuvre, given what you've measured out. When you were travelling regularly on the buses, did you ever discuss with bus drivers whether that might be a solution that would actually make it easier? Because what you're identifying would free up 2 more parking spaces. Do you believe that drivers would support what you are suggesting by bringing the stop back to the corner of that property, number 43?
Certainly, I've often seen them exasperated by finding a car parked right up to each end, and they simply can't get in. So they either park parallel outside, as if they were double parked,
Yes.
or they nose in, leaving enough room, nose into the back half, leaving enough room to swing out again. Now, they nose in to try and allow passengers to get off on the footpath, but if they can't get that close, they've got to step right down to the roadway. And if they have a disability, that's a big stretch and an anxious thing. I found that myself because I needed a hip
Thank you.
replacement at the time.
Look, that makes sense to me as well, but I'm not a road engineer either, but it does make sense to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David, for taking the time to come and present and speak to us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Trudy Gatlin is not online, so our next submitter is Shane Rosewood. Good morning, Shane. And Shane is going to be talking to us about the crossing by the police station.
Thank you. And I might need support from my mum.
Absolutely. Welcome, Mum.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. And our apologies for the issues with access this morning.
It's okay. We had quite a laugh about it.
Oh, that's good. All right, so over to you.
I've been left behind in the same spot where David mentioned. So several times.
I think David's talking about round the corner.
Yeah, round the corner about. There's a car here. There's a car here. Now buses can get in until where Jack's is. Where Jack's Cafe is.
Oh, sorry, just want to clarify. My notes say you want us to talk about crossing by the police station, but it's not.
No, two things. That
Oh, 2 things. So
And the
we'll
crossing
do
the police
we'll
station.
do what David Hall spoke of first. Yeah, gotcha. Outside Jack's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to clarify something. I saw it myself one day. It's between Jack's and the garage.
Okay.
There's a bus stop there. When we went past, 3 cars parked in the bus stop. If you're going to the garage, you drive in. 3 cars parked in the bus stop, no cars around, and no people around. What Shane forgot to tell you is when the bus driver sees that, he drives off and leaves them on the street.
And that's why.
And he can't get,
And that's why I brought my mum here today.
and he can't get to the gym, and he's been left home behind several times. It's not his fault those people were parked in a bus stop and the bus can't stop. It's also a bit of a tricky area. Maybe the bus just cannot stop under those dangerous conditions, but they leave him behind. So he doesn't get to catch his bus because people want to park there. And I've got an idea it might be Jack's Cafe. The second one.
And the second one is the crossing, no, not far from the police station bridge. The police station. So many times I have to write for people to actually help me. Yeah.
I'll explain.
That's because there's no crossing facilities there.
No,
No?
it's because the Hamilton City Council curb goes deep down
Okay.
and deep up.
Okay.
And what happens is he cannot get down and up. Oh, the light's there, he can cross, but he cannot cross. He can only cross if a person of the public happens to be there and is wanting to push him up, down and up. Now, it's not just crossing. If he persisted or tried it, he could tip his wheelchair back and have a brain injury. And in fact, I spoke to a woman on the bus coming here this morning in an electric wheelchair. That's exactly what happened to her. Her electric wheelchair tipped up on one of those deep dive and up, and she ended up with a brain injury, over a year of physiotherapy and having to see a specialist in Auckland. That police station, Bridge 1, we go down to the police station, and it's a pedestrian crossing, but Shane can't cross. And there's no other place to cross there in that whole area. If you come from the bus stop and you want to go to Countdown Supermarket, you can only cross that crossing from the public bus stop to get to that supermarket. It's a roundabout. You could try that quick dash across the roundabout, but that's not safe in a wheelchair. It's the only crossing he can use, and he can't use it.
Thank you. There don't appear to be any questions. I've written some notes, as I know my colleagues would have as well, and I know staff have. Sorry, Councillor Hutt has a question.
Sorry, I've got technical difficulties. I just wanted to confirm it's the one that's at the four-way intersection by the Meteor?
Yes.
Yep, that
And
one.
there's a bus stop on the other side of the
Yes.
road that you have to catch.
Yep.
If you go to Countdown, you come down the police
Yep.
station, past the police station, down the hill,
Yep.
over the crossing to the bus stop,
Yep.
but he can't cross.
And then the footpath, I used to live down the road from it, so very
Oh, the
familiar.
footpath's rough.
Yeah. Do you feel like the footpath is also, because it's a hill, right? Or you're
Oh,
either going
yes.
down or up. Do
And
you
the
feel
tree
that-
roots are winning.
Yeah. Do you feel that when you're waiting, that the footpath is flat enough?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
The whole area there
Yeah.
is
yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
It really is. But there's a lot of crossings like that in Hamilton
Yeah.
City Council, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And Shane has been tipped out of his wheelchair
Thank you.
a few times.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
That's not good, and that's not the kind of city that we want.
And when they tip backwards.
Yeah, no,
It's pretty
very,
damn frightening.
yeah, we can imagine, and this committee will have a discussion about this soon within the report, and really appreciate you taking the time. And please, any other intersections, please contact an elected member, one that you perhaps know, or all of us, and please let us know these things so we can get onto them and fix them.
Shane did this himself, by
Yes,
himself,
Yeah,
unbeknownst to me.
yeah. No,
And your
it's great.
staff were pretty damn incredible.
Okay.
He spoke to a young
Great.
girl, Rebecca.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for that feedback.
And she
Yeah.
was really, really great. And she
Okay.
kept in touch. She rang up.
Yeah.
She doesn't have an email address, so she talked to me and emailed
Great.
the job number.
Excellent.
But yeah, your staff have been really, really
Good.
wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, that's great feedback. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shane, and thank you, Mum, for coming. And again, apologies about the lift out there. Yeah, but it's being fixed. It's been fixed. Yes.
Well,
yeah.
we were
yeah.
talking about Hamilton City Council's wonderful about access into
Well, I
buildings.
know.
We were going to Hamilton
I think
City
that
Council
lift was
meeting and
probably
we couldn't
installed
get
in the
access.
1920s or something. I don't know. Anyway, thank
We
you very
said-
much.
We did see the funny side of it.
Well,
okay?
that's great. Thank you. we're going to have a talk about all of that now, yeah. Yes, thank you. All right, yeah. Okay, so thank you, everyone. That's it for our submitters to the committee. Always very, very helpful. So now, how I'm going to propose to do this, obviously we will have some questions around what we've heard in the public forum. Robin can present the report. There are 12, from page 39, there are 12 focused items that will include what the submitters have raised. And I'm thinking maybe one or two items that haven't been raised that we're going to want information to come back to, or to go to the Infrastructure and Transport Committee. So it's possibly easier to go through by exception. Otherwise, I'm happy if the committee wants to work through each of the 12 items, but exception usually works quite well. By exception, okay. Yep, all right. So firstly, over to you, Robin, and then we'll just sort of start from the first, then we'll go by exception. I'll call out each sort of heading, and if there are any questions or concerns can be raised. Obviously, the first one is Colombo Street, so I know there'll be questions there. But Robin, unless I've taken the wind out of your sails, which I often do as chair, don't I? Trying to make it easy for everyone.
Good morning, Chair and Councillors. I'll take the report as read, and I'm happy to answer
All
questions.
right, let's do that. So, committee members, page 39 is the proposed parking restrictions on Colombo Street, and we heard this morning public submission supporting that. So, are there any questions on Colombo Street first? Oh, do you want to use your button?
Sorry, I did. Point.
Councillor McIndoe?
Too long as a school teacher.
Please, miss, speak.
Rangi Mahora made the point that our charitable trust has been on that site for many, many years. It's about 80 plus years. And that during that time, obviously, land use has changed considerably, and it's now a light industrial area. That will continue to be a light industrial area. Given the growth of the city, what do we know, what projections do we have about further density of vehicles associated with light industry in that area?
Sorry, Councillor, I have no comment. I think it very much depends on the type of light industry. The businesses in that area, there are a lot of car repairs and those sorts of facilities, panel beaters, mechanics, those sorts of things. So they often have staff parking on the street as well as clients' vehicles in the area. So it is a very heavily parked area.
Yeah, it is. I've been there quite often for events, and I've seen how difficult it is to get a park, and the Trust is making provision for more off-street parking. Do we know what the the owners of the businesses nearby, have they been consulted and given a view on this proposal?
Yes, so we consult with everyone who's affected by it.
And their feedback is, sorry, in part this is for public record. So,
yes, so they're in support, and that's basically we've responded to requests. An initial request when we went out with the proposal and did the consultation, we had more requests, and that was what the amended proposal as shown in the clause 25 of the report. So there is support for
that's good.
changes.
Thank you. As I say, so sometimes people watch these meetings and they don't know what feedback we're receiving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Hutt.
I guess more of like a possible staff action. The comment around request for increased parking enforcement. In my email to Tanya yesterday, I was like, how much would it cost, or what resource do we need to do more parking enforcement? Could that be added as an area of interest?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Great.
In the briefing that we will have
Yes,
first. Yeah.
yes. Awesome, thank you.
Just one question from me, Robin. They touched on Kaumātua challenges with dealing with the footpaths and immediately outside the entry exit, as well as I'm taking on board a little bit further out. Is there do we have plans to address those issues?
So what we've done in this street, in recognition of the very high parking demand and the fact it's industrial, many years ago, the grass berms, which were probably more dirt bowls, were removed, and it's all sealed with asphalt. You might be able to see there's a white line marked on the berm.
Yep.
So we've basically come to an agreement with the businesses in the area. It's a long-standing agreement that they will keep the section between the cars parked on the road and that white line clear to act as a footpath. So we have reiterated as part of our consultation on this, this proposal, we've reiterated again that that's what they need to be aware of and to work with us on.
Okay, thank you. I've got a few questions on a few other things, but I'm just going to, because we've still got members in the gallery, I'm going to zoom through to Cambridge Road, so you don't have to listen to several other items of questions if that's helpful to you. So members, let's jump over to page 60.
Councillor Hutt talked about issues with technology. It doesn't seem to be bringing anybody up, just our seat numbers. And
Does governance have beef?
is that a problem that we need to? Yeah, did try that, yeah.
Okay, let them sort that out for now. Let's not disturb the meeting. Oh, no, I don't have the screen at all. There we go. So I think we're on. Oh, okay, yep.
Robin, the photograph on page 40, is that the one you were talking about with regard to the white lines?
Correct.
And so the cars that are parked there in your photograph aren't necessarily parked on the side of the road, but within the
What's traditionally
asphalt
yes, so
footpath.
correct. What's traditionally grass berm. We have allowed for parking in that area because of the high parking demand, but on the proviso that there is that section adjacent to the curb line and between that white line that is left clear to enable people to get through there. And that's what Will and his team enforce on that basis.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, so let's move to Cambridge Road. So I think it's page 60 it starts on. 77 is the picture, isn't it? I think that's
so
where I put my
unfortunately we
notes.
don't have specific words on the bus stops, so probably the best view is 77.
Yeah, okay, so we're on page 77. I have a few questions, but I'm going to go to Councillor Wilson first.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. Hey, Robin. Have our people considered this proposal?
Yeah, so when we looked at this, we have we're always mindful that areas such as this parking is gold, and we have had a look at various options for that. The guidelines indicate that you need to have at least 5 metres in advance of the bus to get in and out safely, and the big thing is to enable that bus to get parallel to the curb. So while they can get into the car park, if they're in on a funny angle, anyone with any mobility issues has that issue of having to step down onto the road. If it's somebody using a wheelchair, for example, and they need to put the ramp down, then they can't do that. So it's about having sufficient space so that that bus can come in and be nicely parallel to the curb line such that those facilities can happen. And that's what the team have tried to work through.
Right, okay. But you've heard public submitters saying, why keep that one car park before the entrance to the bus? Would it not make more sense to, as recommended by Mr. Hill, to start the bus stop from that first car park and have the subsequent car parks in front of the bus?
So I guess we're also trying to balance the needs and the requests from the public and the adjacent residents. This means that there is a car park that is closer to Jack's still left available. So I guess we've tried various options and tried to come up with something that we think works best for the adjacent residents, the people visiting Jack's, not having a long walk, and also the bus being able to get in and out.
Thank you. Just following on from that, if I could, Madam Chair, two parts of the question. In light of both Mr Hill's submission and our good friends who are still in the Chamber's submission, who are clearly saying it would make more sense to have it starting earlier than where it is, have you thought of, in light of that new information, whether or not staff would support the change? The second thing, in terms of your argument that you're wanting it to be slightly closer to Jack's, we're really talking a matter of just a few metres, are we not?
Yes, but a lot of the people that come into that area do have mobility issues. So, you know, the difference, another 10, 20 metres does make a difference.
Okay.
My concern is that while Mr Hall's come up with a proposal, it has reduced distances of 2 metres and that sort of thing, rather than the recommended 5.
Right.
On the fly, I can't say yes to that proposal, given that it doesn't meet the requirements.
Okay.
If elected members would like us to look at it further, then that's an option.
All right. One final question, Robin. In light of the fact that you've heard again today from people who use wheelchairs that under the current system they're often left behind because the bus can't seem to pull into the gap, are you still prioritising, are you not swayed at all by that information?
The proposal that we have put up will address the problem and will get the bus in parallel to the car park and enable the people to get on and off the bus.
Madam Chair, I just indicate that I'll have an amendment to the recommendation.
Councillor McIndoe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, Councillor Wilson has just asked my question. It was in relation to bringing it back in line with Mr Hill's suggestion to the corner. Do you want these back? Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, it's been covered.
Oh, great. Thank you. All right, so that's all the questions on that. Can I just ask, is there a mobility park outside that shopping area?
So that's one of the items we're proposing, is actually shown on an earlier slide, where we are proposing 2 mobility car parks on the other side of the shopping centre there.
All right,
yes.
great, thank you. Okay. All right, so that's all the questions on that one. And we will have a motion coming. So, Pat, yes?
Question with regard to the siting of the bus stop. On the other side of the road, Flynn Road comes out onto Cambridge Road. Mm-hmm. It's a very wide road. Is there any consideration that we need to give to access, turning right, I guess, out of that street? And would moving a bus stop in any direction have any impact on that?
That'll be something that we have a look at, but there is quite a large shoulder there to accommodate vehicles, buses, that sort of thing, in that area. So I think that will be okay.
Yep, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
I'm just trying to manage motions and things so that the 3 of our members in the public can go and enjoy a coffee somewhere. So I just want to just have a conversation about the issues raised by Shane, which aren't part of this report, but if we could tie it up into councillor Wilson's motion. We can just deal with that one thing, and then they can hear a decision, and then we can carry on with our business as usual, if you like. So I just have a question, given it's not part of our, said that this isn't an isolated issue, but obviously it's an area that he uses frequently. Are we aware of that, and do we have plans to address the curb cut there? and the
So yes, we
footpaths?
are aware of it.
Yeah.
And we have had a look at this particular corner a couple of times. Unfortunately, there's not an easy answer for fixing it. Somewhat ironically, my staff have recommended the best solution would be a raised safety platform there, which is why it hasn't progressed any further. But that would then get rid of the need to negotiate down the curb, and would mean that everything's level for people trying to cross through there.
And I'm not a roading engineer, but why can't we change the curb cut to be less severe so it's safe for wheelchairs?
It's to do with all of the levels, with the way the water runs down the various, because it's on a hill, it's a road, you're looking at quite a large piece of work that you'd have to do in there. It was certainly something we were really hopeful, given that we've got funding in the Green Program for accessibility improvements. We were really hopeful that that was going to be a site that we would be able to get on and address, but it's beyond the scope of that.
So is there a need, I think I'll ask the manager, is there a need for us to include something in councillor Wilson's motion to have a look at this site plus across the city, so elected members can, or is there, are you confident, or can you assure us that there is a body of work that we can be confident will have some good outcomes?
So I
might be a
think
resourcing thing.
through the program that we've had approved, there are some areas where some crossings will be addressed, but this particular crossing, as Robin's pointed out, is quite challenging. I think one of Councillor Wilson's motion, we could have a staff action to bring back a list of the known sites where we have challenges with, given that some of them will have quite significant funding requirements as a future.
Yeah,
If that
I'd certainly be
pleases
interested
the
in
committee.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Gordon, do you have a comment to add?
Madam Chair, so we proactively, when we're doing the upgrades to our footpaths.
Microphone, Gordon, thank you.
So when we proactively address our footpaths upgrades, we actually look at the crossings and improve that at the same time as well. So that's happening currently, yeah.
Okay. Are you happy, councillor Wilson, to include that? Okay, so I think that, councillor McIndoe?
Madam Chair, could not a ramp just on either side of the gutter achieve the same effect of levelling it without having to have a full RSP? Because there are plenty of those around the city.
Perhaps if I may, councillor McIndoe, if we can bring that detail back to through that staff action, because
I think we're all hearing the concern,
Yes.
but I'm personally not in favour of a full RSP, but I see a pragmatic solution.
And engineering in the committee is a little bit challenging, but if we can please bring that back as part of the action, would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so there are no more questions on this item. So, councillor Wilson, are you ready just with your motion? And I am guessing that we need to say, we'll leave the other recommendations on page 23, but do we have to use the words remove from the gazetting, or whatever it is called, with the exception of I just want to be able to deal with that now so that our guests can. Okay, we need 5 minutes so we can work through it, and that gives councillor Wilson time to write up his report. Okay, we're just taking a adjournment of 5 minutes. of all of these recommendations, because there are still a few questions on some of the other items, and do Cambridge Road as an amendment, and then do Councillor Wilson's changes, as a motion, and do Councillor Wilson's changes as an amendment.
Deputy Mayor, good news is it's actually Councillor Hutz and...
Okay. Oh, fantastic. And Councillor McIndoe. Okay. Great. So let's get that up on the board.
Yeah.
So, page 24. So we're taking out... So we're doing... There we go. So we're simply removing... We're removing the recommendation just to go ahead with the staff proposal as is in the report for the bus stop under 6 and 7. So we're removing that and adding a I'm reading this for the online viewers. Defer the decision of the installation of the 5 metre no stopping restrictions outside number 43 and 51 Cambridge Road to a future meeting of this committee, noting that staff will consider the submitters' feedback. So that's what we are working on as the motion, yes, not motion amendment. All right, so look at that team. Councillor Hutt is the mover. Would you like to say anything?
Extraordinarily briefly. I'd just like to say to our submitters, thank you for coming in today. I know that you've got other stuff you could be doing, which is probably far more interesting than coming and talking to us. But it makes a real big difference to hear from you. You know, I'm a person who has disabilities and I might not use a wheelchair, but I know how important it is to be able to get around the city because it's your city and you should be able to get to where you're going. So thank you for coming and highlighting this to us. It really helps us to be able to centre the experiences of people with disabilities. It makes our decision making better. And I'm hoping that we can have a little bit of a look at the bus stop on Cambridge Road and just see if we can rejig anything there. But really our commitment today is just to making sure that buses can pull in and pick up their passengers.
And not the 3 cars, the entire length of the bus.
Yeah, yeah.
Mum, you don't get a chance to debate. You have to run for elected office in October. We'd love to have you. Sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, I mean, this is some of the reasons why I actually really enjoy Traffic Panel, because we get to do stuff like this. And we have passionate members of the public.
Councillor McIndoe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd echo Councillor Hutt's comments. I will note that as councillors, we're often accused of not listening to the public. But here is a really good example of the fact that we do. We are not only hearing what you're saying, we're trying to find constructive suggestions. None of us is a road engineer, so we obviously are heavily dependent on the advice of our staff, but I'm delighted that we've come up with what I think is a very pragmatic and sensible approach. It means that the decision won't be made overnight, but I hope that it will lead to the right ones and achieve the sort of outcomes that all of our submitters have put forward today. And I echo Councillor Hutt. Thank you very, very much for taking the time and trouble to come and put your views forward. I hope we'll achieve the outcomes that you are looking for.
Well, thank you all very much because I really do feel we're being listened to.
Thank you, Mum. All right, I think that's been very well said by Councillor Hutt and by Councillor McIndoe, so we will put that to the vote. Show of hands, all those in favour. You can put your hand up, Mum. There you go. And there are none opposed. So that's carried. Thank you very much, Mr Hall and Mum and Shane for coming and speaking to us today. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the rest of our business. So let's carry on doing by exception. I have a question on page 41, Robin. This is the proposed parking restriction changes on Gardenia Close and Grevillea Place. Didn't know there was a Grevillea Place in Hamilton. I'm just looking at the picture, and I guess this question is for a few of the residential areas. It does, and I note the feedback there, there's quite a lot of feedback and quite strong. It seems like a lot of removal of residential on-street parking in what the report says is a low traffic area anyway. Is this a bit overkill for us to remove all of that residential parking in a low traffic area?
I guess that this is the balance that we play, and we end up, I guess, working with neighbours who don't necessarily talk. We don't go out and find these locations. They are as a result of requests coming to us with residents in those streets expressing concerns about their ability to get in and out of their properties safely and getting in and out of their streets safely.
Yeah, I absolutely accept that. I know we don't go looking for these things. The report on point 28, Robin said that staff received a request for no stopping.
Yes.
Was it just one?
Yes.
So, and it wasn't, apart from the owner of number 1 Gardenia, there wasn't any other who is strongly opposed. Was there anything else?
No, we've included all of the feedback that we've received.
So it was just from one resident?
Yes.
So one request said, please do it, and one request said, please don't do it.
Yes.
How do we come, and I guess my issue with that approach is that people have really busy lives, right? Once those yellow lines go in, then we'll probably hear from all the other neighbours. So how do we balance that?
And I guess that's the challenge that staff have, and that's why we use this panel to try and bring this to you. Basically, staff are presenting. If we can get an agreement, then we will. We'll do our best. If we think that there really isn't a safety issue and it's not worth pursuing, then we will also tell people that. But at the end of the day, I guess we're reliant on you as elected members to make a decision, and that's why we're bringing it to you.
And what number house requested the no stopping lines? Do we know? Thank you.
You'll have to come up the front, I did.
Yeah, you'll need to come down.
Thank you, Chair. Gardenia Close and Gravelia Place are no exit streets, so it's only a residential access street.
No exit streets.
Yeah, so there's no through traffic going in there.
Yeah.
The resident lives down the road further east to number 9.
Number 9 Gardenia?
Yes. Past 9. So the street's not wide enough to accommodate parking on the street itself. If you see just outside number 9, there's recessed parking bays. So
yes,
the way the suburb was developed was they've dedicated spaces for parking, and on street, the streets were designed for through traffic to flow through comfortably.
So is the request because when that person exits his street, because it's a no exit area, if there are cars parked in front of, say, 135 and 2 and 2, that it's very narrow?
Correct. So what's happening is residents often don't all come home at the same time, so they park imagining the other side of the streets available for traffic to flow through, and eventually by the end of the day there's like a gridlock and people can't navigate through and in and out. So what we try to do is a staggered parking arrangement. What we've done is left parking outside number 2, so there's always room for vehicles to pass each other when they enter and exit the street.
Right, I see. Okay. Councillor Van Osten, on this one?
Thank you. Yes, I do. I note that there's lots of corners. And I know that there's rules around parking close to a corner. Can you tell us, in these dotty yellow lines, what part of it is complying with that, as opposed to simply just restricting car parking?
So again, because it's a residential street, it's meant to be a low-speed environment. No more than 40 km is an ideal speed for such streets. The geometric design of the road is done with curvatures in order to create a traffic calming measure to keep those operating speeds low. There isn't a particular requirement to stop vehicles from parking inside of these curves. It's more of ensuring that the traffic flow is not hindered with, or a safety risk is not resulting as a result of parked vehicles. So the objection that we received from number 1, as you see, is close to the intersection of Mount View Road and Gardenia Close. So if there was a vehicle to park right outside their property, they'd be parking way too close to the intersection, and any vehicles
And
navigating.
that's the illegal part.
Within
yeah.
6 metres of an
Right.
intersection.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a component of it that is just reinforcing the legal requirements, but there's additional in there as well.
Yes, thank you, appreciate that.
These, sorry, I'm going a little bit wider, but are some of these issues starting to crop up from urban planning back in when these houses were built
Yes.
to changes in traffic modelling, traffic planning, safety? Are we likely to see more of those kinds of conflicts? You know, narrow footpaths, narrow roads, bigger cars, more cars, more people, more parking?
So it's kind of a lesson learned exercise as well. So these are some of the old suburbs. So if you
Yeah.
see Green Hill Park and the other new suburbs, we have started requiring the developers to install some of these restrictions if we feel it's necessary.
Right. Okay. 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 Thank you. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I understand it all. All right. So any other? Councillor Hutt.
Just a question. I see that we were removing some bus stops. I was actually just curious. A previous traffic panel, we removed some bus stops on Horsham Downs Road, not far along from Northridge Drive. My understanding is that they're still being used. I was just wondering if we could check that.
In this report, you're saying from a previous panel?
Yeah.
Yes, we can certainly follow up on that.
Yeah, we can.
And could you also find out the bus stops on New Borman Road, the very, very shiny, very new bus stops? If there's going to be a bus stopping there?
So you mean that not New Borman Road is actually the name of a road?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So that's what I'm just clarifying. The new section of Borman Road, yes. Yes, so my understanding is that they've been put in advance of the regional council needing to work through the consultation for route changes. Because they currently go up through Moonlight.
Okay, yeah.
But we can follow up on that other one.
So I'm really sorry for all these questions. Back to page 43, this is the no stopping parking restrictions being proposed along Lake Road. I guess, again, Robin, a similar question. This seems like a lot of on-street parking being removed if it's just 104 Lake Road, property owner requesting it. My concern with all of this is, of course, given the great answer and the explanation that we've had on the previous area, is that all we do, particularly the closer we get into the central city, is we just end up pushing cars to another street and then we have a problem, and then another street and then we have a problem. So if 10 Lake is requesting this, why are we yellow lining such a big section along this road? And that's currently commuter parking.
It was 104 that requested it, and it's 104 that we're putting the parking, no stopping restrictions in front of.
But it goes right past. Oh, existing.
It's only-
sorry,
it's only
my mistake. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
looking
yellow
at the
box
only
that-
red arrows, not the red box. All right.
Yeah.
The red card. Okay. Okay. Anyone else have any other? I'm just going to leave my questions for off, because I have they're all on that similar sort of vein, I think. Clearly I got into the detail of this report last night, didn't I? Councillor Taylor.
Thanks, Chair. Is this an opportunity for me to ask about Seddon Road? Is this,
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I know we didn't get the submission from Trudy Gatlin, but we have got 2 submissions on it. And I'm just trying to understand it a bit better. Actually, I'm interested in the 2 hours parking on Seddon Road there. Who are we targeting? Who are we targeting to park there?
So I guess it's a standard approach that we've used where we've put the all-day parking on one side and we've put the 2-hour parking, and that really is aimed to try and assist the residents so that there is a turnover, because if we don't put any restrictions there, we're likely to get people turn up and try and park all day for free. So we want those people to park across the road, and then the idea of that 2-hour parking is to create some turnover so that visitors or the resident themselves coming and going have a chance. In the similar way to what we did for Tainui Street, staff have pre-prepared, if elected members are interested, an alternate which removes that P120 from outside that particular property. That was an approach that we used for Tainui Street. So there was a section on that. So what we did was the majority of that side has the P120, but we left a section with no restriction outside that particular property. So if, for example, the person's came in during the night, parked there and leaves their car there all day, they will be fine. They won't be affected by the parking restriction because there won't be one. They'll be able to park there all day for free. But if they do go away and come back, there's likely to be something nearby with the P120. So if elected members would like that, we have drafted that alternate for you to consider.
Thank you. Both submissions are from that same complex, aren't they? I think,
Yes.
the Gatlin one, which I've visited myself and parked on the road. Okay, so that's an option for that, just to exclude that one.
Yes, that section, yes.
Okay, that's great. The whole issue of residence permits, which other cities do.
Yes.
Is that something that, at what stage in our kind of evolution of this are we? Have we got more of these likely to come on train in coming times in terms of starting to have limitations outside residences and stuff like that? I'm just wondering if it's something that we should be looking at some point, or if it's something indeed that we should discuss at a briefing at some point.
That would be my recommendation, that we add it to the list for the briefing.
Okay, all right. Look.
Yes, I mean, it is a relevant question, and it's something that needs to be thought through carefully.
We have the framework ready for, I think I copied everyone into an email from.
Yep.
We do have the framework, don't we?
So the traffic bylaw allows for it. What we don't have is the administration background systems to manage it. So, yes.
Yeah. No, that's great.
So we can work through all of that in a briefing.
Thank you. And just, sorry, Chair, just one more in regard to the Gatlin, the flats there. Have we had discussions with them about their level of need? What they're actually, I mean, they're saying there's an issue here. I know there's one off-street park for each one. I think it's just one, isn't it?
That would be typical nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So what's your feeling about that particular property and their level of need in terms of on-street car parking?
So I think Deitch's proposal has
What
drawn
we
up.
understand is these are all tenanted properties, so
Yes.
it's usually visitors who come to the property that's creating the excess need for additional parking beyond the capacity of the off-street parking. So the alternate proposal of continuing with unrestricted parking outside 105, we think will cater for them if they wish to park in excess of 2 hours without having to pay or worry about time restrictions.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
I'm just going to finish with one. I do apologise. Just on page 150, the parking restrictions that you're looking at putting into parks and reserves, we've got a list of tenants there that include Norris Ward Park, Melville Park, etc. I received an email from a resident and also on social media a comment about Swarbrick Park when that has events, and obviously that's adjacent to Rifle Range Road. So are we looking at doing anything about the issues that are being raised by residents?
So I guess,
and it's all the same, isn't it? It's parking on footpaths, parking across berms, parking dangerously, blocking access.
So these proposals are for where there are car parks within
off-street,
the park or reserve, so off-street.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is make sure we've got a good legal basis on which we can enable the parking team to go in and do enforcement. And we do have a couple of folks up the back from the parks team who've
Yeah.
worked with that and developed up the proposals.
Yeah,
For Swarbrick, it is the surrounding streets that's the issue.
yeah,
And
okay.
again, I think that's one that we can deal with as a briefing for some of the work. I mean, we do a
Yeah.
winter sports parking campaign and bits and pieces like
Okay.
that, so we can,
Okay, and just on that, the Hamilton Lake Domain, I'm on page 151, so it goes from there's quite a lot of restrictions going in there. Some seem to me to make absolute sense from Innes Common and some of the issues there, so it's kind of 152, page 152 onwards. But is page 158 is actually within, that confused me a little bit, all of those parking restrictions, because those are not yellow lines, those are no stopping, and yet this is a high amenity play area. I realise that there are recessed car parks on page 158 in that area as well, but is this again, it's that is this the issue where commuters are filling up Hamilton Lake Domain during the day?
yes. And so that's where we've worked very closely with the team.
Yeah.
Where you've got the no stopping, it's basically trying to formalise and reinforce the existing restrictions that are there.
Yeah.
And then put in place some time restrictions so that there is some turnover and ability to enforce that,
Yeah.
so that this doesn't become a de facto car park for commuters.
So there are commuters parking there now. Where are they all going to filter out to?
We're hoping that they're going to use the paid on-street parking.
Right. Have we got enough?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
So, and I guess that's the ongoing balance for looking at
Yeah.
whether we need to extend more.
Okay. Councillor Taylor?
For
That's
this, Chair,
okay.
there was one
Yeah.
thing that I just forgot. With 97 Seddon Road, it is 97A, I think, those flats. Is it possible that staff had a conversation with them about the implications of excluding it from the 2 hours and what it could mean? You know, that you could possibly be not actually get a pay. Have you had that discussion with them?
No, we've not had that discussion
Okay.
with them because we presented the options to them and
Yeah.
we've encouraged them to submit us feedback to the elected members if they wish to
Okay.
participate at the meeting.
All right. So if we were to come up with a recommendation that staff explore that option with them and see if it's going to work,
Yep. So
would that be agreeable? That sort of idea?
So I think if we passed the proposed resolution, which leaves it unrestricted for now, we can come back in our next meeting in May, having spoken to them, and if we need to then put the P120 in place, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we could have something just not restricting 97, leaving 97.
105.
So,
105.
yes, so through the chair, Councillor Taylor, that area is currently unrestricted. We wouldn't do anything with it. We would leave it as it is.
Leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Just temporarily, maybe.
And we can. And
Well,
staff
let's
act-
add it to the motion. It's a more formal way to
Yeah.
deal with it, that staff come
Thanks, Chair.
back.
Thank you.
Yep, all right. So, thanks for everyone's indulgence. So, as a chair, I don't often have lots of questions. So the staff recommendations on page 23, as we know, we've dealt with Cambridge Road. And if we can pop in the suggestion by Councillor Taylor. You just put that right down the bottom of the... Is that right, Robin? We take it out?
We can just
We
strike
just
it through.
remove it, okay?
Yes.
And then can you please add at the bottom of the recommendation then somewhere, page, good grief. A, B, C, D, E, an E, that says, request staff to,
Report back on consultation with residents at number 105 Seddon Road to see if they require a P120 restriction to be
great.
installed.
So
that work?
we did check with them about the option of progressing with unrestricted parking outside 105. And they are sort of satisfied with it, but what they're trying to request is the resident parking permit part of it.
Yes.
So I think what we could do is continue with this, and then as part of the other workshop, discuss more about the resident parking permit.
Yeah, we won't deal with resident parking permits in the motion because we don't know what we're dealing with yet, so, okay. So this is good to go, and Robin's wording is good to go? Yep, all right. Who's moving it? Did I say I was? Oh, I did. Yes.
Just, have you progressed anything with Gardenia? I'd like to propose that we don't do that at this stage. I think that we.
So would you like to have perhaps restrictions that just enforce legal requirements? So that would be just a little bit round, so at least your visibility in and out of the intersections is maintained. Would that be a compromise?
That sounds like a great approach, if that's possible. Bit of a middle ground.
We'll have to work out exactly what those legal restrictions are. So if elected members are happy for us to work with the governance team on that, we'll work out what those distances are. But basically what I'm taking is we'll just do a little bit around those corners just to make sure that they're open for the visibility.
That's great.
That'd be really helpful, thanks.
Yeah.
So sorry for the part of the resolution, because we've got quite specific distances.
Yes.
Robin, we can change that to just read that we
Yes.
mark that as per the legal requirements. So
Yes.
if we can
We'll
perhaps
change that to the wording, and we can always tidy that up through the main report as
so
well.
we're removing 1 to 5 on page 26 of the recommendation on Gardenia Close, and we'll just remove all that section and then an A, B, C, D, E, and then add an F.
An F that staff report back to the next meeting with a...
Because this committee still needs to legally sign these things off, so,
So staff report back to the next committee meeting with the extent of no stopping restrictions that will reflect the current legal requirements with regard to parking near corners.
Did you get that? Yeah.
Grevillea and Gardenia, yes.
Robin, can you say what you said again?
Oh, no.
Committee meeting with the
Propose no stopping restrictions which reflect Gardenia, and we'll add Grevillea as well.
Gardenia and Grevillea that reflect
The legal no stopping requirements in the vicinity of intersections. How's that sound? I can't remember what I said first time. To reflect.
I just had an F there, to reflect intersection something.
That legal requirements for parking in the vicinity of intersections.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone on the live stream. No, we nearly did. You've done great. Gardenia and Grevillea, what does it say? The legal no stopping requirements to reflect parking in, what did you say?
In the vicinity
In the vicinity
of an intersection.
of an intersection. Yeah. great. Right, can we show that on the screen? So that's an E and an F we've added, isn't it? Okay, committee, there we go. So we have added an E, we've removed them from the body of the report, we've added an E, request staff to consult with residents of 105 Seddon and report back to this committee. And an F, staff report back to the next committee meeting with proposed no stopping restrictions for Gardenia and Grevillea with the legal no stopping requirements to reflect for parking in the vicinity of an intersection. Thereabouts?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good England, isn't it? Yeah. We've done great. Thank you, Robin. We know what it means, you know what it means.
Yes.
We're good. All right, so that's been moved on myself, seconded by Councillor Hutt. Look, just really appreciate this committee's work and as Councillor Hutt earlier said, this is a great opportunity to hear from the public and we respond. And as Councillor McIndoe said, we do get accused for not listening, but this committee has the ability to get into the detail and listen. So thanks everyone and thank you governance team. You thought it was going to be an easy meeting, didn't you? Councillor Hutt is the seconder? Good, great. Anybody else? Yep. Councillor Taylor.
Look, thank you, staff, Robin, and staff and chair for helping with that. I mean, it's always awkward because, you know, we don't have all the answers, but sometimes we're just trying to find a middle ground with some things and just find out more information. So I think reasonable result. Thank you.
Show of hands, all those in favour, please raise your hands. There are none opposed, it's carried unanimously. The meeting is closed. We'll just close with the organisational karakia. Put my glasses on. Here we go. Tēnei te whakairi, tēnei te whakawātia, haumie, huie, tae kie. Wonderful, thank you everyone and enjoy the rest of your day.